Hello, everybody. Here is your favorite Dimple Top Mess here. And today we're talking books and champagne. And it is with one of my favorite TikTokers slash Instagram worthy beautiful people, Veronica. Veronica, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Veronica Carney. I make YouTube videos slash TikTok videos about beauty slash true crime.
That's true. I've watched a few of your videos and I'm just like, I'm learning new things. Like, I don't have a TikTok, but maybe you guys can convince me otherwise to get one. But I remember my mom pointing out the true crime videos and I was like, dang, she has so many. Like, I'm like, I didn't know any of the stuff you post about until like recently.
Yeah, there's like a ton of like true crime stories that I've never even heard of, or like the ones I like to make are from people that like don't get any kind of coverage. If they're like, how do I explain? It's like non-whites that don't get the coverage
Yeah.
that they need.
Yes.
I feel like those are really important, and some of those are very gruesome, and I'm like, "How is this not on the news?"
I agree. I think that's like really important work to like get people, especially like women of color, to get that attention because I feel like we never get that attention in like the media if it was like a white girl or like a rich white dude, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, speaking of that, do you want to talk about personally how we met each other? I could go first. Gossipy coworkers that did not like each other at first. I will start that is how I would describe us. I avoided Veronica like the plague because she was a little bit higher than me when we first started working together. Like, and I mean higher, like we had the same position, but she had more experience, and I was the one who did the shitty task at work, quite literally.
Yeah, I would agree.
I know. And then I would say, like, I think we only started getting along when we worked in the same workplace, slash alcohol got involved, slash clubbing. Then suddenly all the tea was spilled.
Yeah, literally, when once alcohol comes, that's how we became best friends.
Literally, I think we're both really shy at first. I think that's just part of our nature is being really shy slash not liking each other. But then once we realized what we had in common was like, just being a hot mess, just trying to live out our 20s as happy and unapologetically as we can. So yeah, I think that's what like being a hot mess means to me. It's just living life like unapologetically, even if you make a ton of mistakes or trip over yourself at 5 a.m., it's okay. What about you, Veronica? In your words, when someone calls you like a hot mess or asks you what a hot mess is, what would you say?
Well, I feel like a hot mess has like a different definition, I guess, for different people. Because I wanted to look up what like a hot mess actually meant, and it just meant like you're actually like a mess. And I'm just like, I don't think so. So I would say being a hot mess to me means that you don't you don't care. Like you really don't give a fuck. Like what anyone has to say about you. Like you will you will go out the night before and then sleep for like 3 hours and then show up to work with the makeup from the night before, and maybe you're a little still buzzed or whatever.
Totally haven't done that
But you're
before.
just functioning from that one cup of coffee.
That Dutch bro.
Or, you know, you can it means like being hot, but not having your life together, you know?
That is a very good way to put it. I would say that is definitely how I would describe it as well. It's just like, so showing up semi hungover to work, maybe getting a little bit judged in the process, but that's okay. Like we've all been there.
Yeah. Don't get
And I would say it's true. I mean, we haven't been there in the same workplace. God, I don't think we could ever do the same workplace ever again. And I guess that's what brings us to is like, even though we are hot messes, we love reading. And I think that's like, we both met at a library and we have a lot of cheeseman for that one, a lot of gossip from that library place, which could get started at another time. you know,
yeah, the tea that we have.
the tea that is going to happen another episode. For now, the tea is around one of Booktalk's most popular books. It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. So I just want to talk about it. Let's see. Was it overhyped? Was it underhyped? Let's start with the basics. How, Veronica, how would you rate this book out of 5 stars and why?
Okay, so when I first read the book, I remember I like loved it. And then now when I'm thinking back to it, I would probably give it like a 3 to 3.5 out of 5.
Mhm.
And the reason why I feel like okay, back then I feel like everyone was hyping it up, so I'm like, I have to love this book. So I wasn't gonna give anything below 5 stars because I was like, if I don't like this book, then maybe something's just wrong with me because everyone's loving it.
True.
So,
You have a whole TikTok fan base and enterprise to keep up. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
but like now, the reason I feel like I kind of hate it that I didn't love it like everyone else, and like TikTok, like our book talk, like it claims to be a romance, but when you read it, you're like, how is this a romance?
True, true. I would say I wanted to love the book. I did, but it just took me like a month to get into this book. And for those of you who don't know me, like I either get into a book right away or like I start putting it off, like, oh, okay, I started it, but I don't know if I feel like finishing it. And I'm just like, it was for me, I was gonna rate it a 3, but then when I reread it and was like looking it over, I was like, this is a 2.5 out of 5 stars for me.
Oh
Like,
wow.
yeah, I'm going to cause controversy here. And I'm sorry, but not sorry because it's my opinion, my review. So mind your business, please, respectfully. You know, like, it's just, I'm going to get into it more, but I feel like it's just was not worth it. It was like, I'm going to get into this a little bit more, but like, it was not worth the hype that Booktok gave it. And I'm just like, is it because like we have very different like perspectives, which is totally normal?
Well, okay, so I think the thing is that most of these people who are on book talk talking about this book, this is like one of the first books that they're actually like reading.
Ah,
If
okay.
you like, I mean, that's what I've noticed that they're like, oh my god, there's like this is an amazing book, and it's like the first book that they're reading or getting back into reading with this book. And people who have been like reading for like years, they're used to like probably like higher standards of books, and then this
Mhm.
is kind of like, oh, okay, so what's like, what is the rave about? Like that's what I just kind of noticed.
If that's the case, this is a really crappy start for a book. That if that's the case, because okay, well, let's start with the positive. Because what are some things that you liked about the book? Like, what were like some aspects of the book that you really enjoyed about it? Is the first question.
Um, I like that she tackled some like, really important issues in the book. And I feel like if you've been in that kind of same position of like the main character or whatever, then like for me, like I noticed that she kind of portrayed the characters like in a way like real life, like for, Lily to be like abused or whatever. I feel like she portrayed her very well as a person who would have gone through the same thing or like for the abuser, I feel like the same way.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that because it was like there was some things that I think for me it was like it definitely displayed a very harsh topic. It was like when he first like pushed her. Oh, spoiler alert, by the way, for those of you who haven't read. Before I forget, we're gonna be delving into the book even more. So if you haven't read It Ends With Us, go ahead and read it before coming back here and listening to us kind of smash it, kind of talk about it, etc., etc., etc. But yeah, I think that it took on such a heavy topic at hand, and I really enjoyed how Colleen Hoover wrote like some of the chemistry scenes, not like not that kind of chemistry yet. No, no, no. Like the base chemistry, like between Atlas and her past self, with Lily. I was just like, okay, I could definitely see them like how they vibed. I could feel how they vibe because it's like how in some books like you know the author is trying to like enforce the chemistry, like enforce like, hey, this is like these two are going to be together, or so and so is going to be together, you know.
Yeah.
So the fact that she was able to like convey natural chemistry with people, and even with like the first meeting between Lily and Ryle, like that was pretty like, it definitely caught my attention at first because I was like, okay, let's go. And one of the other things I did like about the book was like how real like Lily's feelings were towards her father. I think one of my favorite quotes was like, as a daughter, I loved him, and as a human, I hated him. And I was like, I think that conveys one of the most like obvious like themes of this book is like the complicated feelings of being human, you know, acceptance, you know, you went through this, now how do you move forward kind of thing.
Yeah.
Alrighty. And then okay. Now now my favorite things. What did you think about the smut in this book? If you call it that. Like to what level? Because from what I saw on Booktok, I saw people getting into it like, oh my God, the scenes are so detailed. Like, oh, like I know detailed scenes, but this one's like, oh, there's romantic scenes here and here and here. And it's like, oh, okay. So I was expecting hot scenes, but what did you think about those kind of scenes in this book?
Like from what I can remember, I mean, there was like, some scenes that like, gave detail, but I feel like not really. Like there could have been more.
There definitely could have been more. Like, I was like, she built this guy up. Like, she was like, okay, she was like, I know you're wanting it, but like, she built him up. She was like, he was this handsome, rich doctor. He kisses well, right? Like, you know, we seen in the perspective of Lily, he kisses well, he's handsome, he's in scrubs for crying out loud. So I'm in my head is like complete eye candy, right? But then it's like any 2 minute guy. It was like, nope, we're done with this scene. Like, I got no neck kisses, I got no detail, I got no thigh bite. Like, excuse me? Excuse me. Like, this is like base level. It was practically young adult. And I was like, excuse why? I thought this was an adult novel we were reading here, not young adult.
Yeah, it definitely felt like a young adult novel.
And I maybe that's why it was so popular because it was just like, yeah, but no, like, okay, are you the kind that prefers like way too much detail or like the subtle detail like this one?
I guess it depends like what the book is gonna be based off of, but I prefer most detail that I can get.
Tell me. Not me. Not me. Hold on. I gotta reach up for my like thing. Hold on. My water. I don't want to get myself too thirsty on this episode, okay? Okay. Now for my favorite question. What are some things that irked you about the characters? And do you like the way that Hoover wrote them?
um, the only thing that irked me about the characters, for me, I don't know, it's weird, but like their names. I'm just
Really?
yeah, I
I
don't
don't
know.
blame you.
They're
Go
just
on.
so random, like last name Bloom, Ryle, Atlas, like
The
Atlas.
most basic lifetime names ever.
I'm just like I think that's the only thing that really irked me. But yeah.
Really? That was the only thing, the names?
Yeah, I don't know. Like
Oh,
I just
okay, okay, okay. Okay, let me give you an example because I have okay. For Lily Bloom, I feel like everything was so easily conventional for her. Like other than the super heavy topic, like we're not going to talk about that real sec, but like everything was semi easy for her. And I say semi because I know there's some rough topics like the childhood and the main one. But
Mhm.
other than those two, everything was conventionally easy. She had her own flower shop. She had, of course, this hot doctor pursuing her after one meeting. Remind you, one meeting that she had with this hot doctor, and he's obsessed with her. And I was just like to the point where she had like he had like photographs of her. He had a photograph of her in his like living room, like expanded and artistically manipulated and all that stuff. But I was just like one meeting, like okay, in real life, us as single women, like if we say no to a guy, they're most likely not going to pursue us, but send us a DM every once in a while. And we both know that from experience. But them using our pictures as art in their living room after one meeting, that was probably not even 30 minutes.
Yeah, it kind of gives me memories about my ex.
It's just like, okay, if you were going to in reality, like most guys are either going to forget about you or like DM you every like 6 months or something.
Yeah.
So there was that. I just didn't like the way, and then like the way that she had like things handed to her. Like her best friend was, of course, this rich housewife who just happened to want a job when she right there when she was getting her business up off the ground. Like, girl, Miss Hoover, please. Coincidence like that do not usually happen. Like, I think I get you're trying to set up the story, but like me and you became best friends, and that was like an enemies to lovers trope. Okay, it came naturally. It came naturally through the way of mimosas, alcohol, faces. Amazing nightclub in NorCal, Sacramento. Um, but so the fact that it's like, okay, of course, she ends up being best friends with the sister of the hot doctor. Of course she does, you know? I wish I could have friends, rich friends that easily, you know? But I feel like that's like, I don't know, SoCal thing? Question mark, I guess.
So
It's like I don't know if this is a East Coast kind of thing because I know this is set in Boston. So East Coasters, does this happen to you? Do you meet rich friends off the street looking for employment? Throw them my way. I would like to be spoiled with house parties too. Thank you. Thank you. But other than that, yeah. All right. Who was the character that stood out to you the most and why?
I feel like Atlas, and I feel like a lot of people will probably say Atlas,
Mm-hmm.
just because I feel like his story was like, don't get me wrong, like Lily's story was kind of sad too, but I feel like his story was like really sad, and I feel like he had like so much love for Lily, and then in the end he had to like leave her, and I don't know, he just
And
seemed
he was a veteran.
yeah, he just seemed like a little sweetheart.
He really was written like such a sweetheart. He was probably like the realest character out of all the story. Like I didn't care for Lily that much. I didn't care for Ryle. I didn't care for like any of them. But like Atlas was my boy. I was like, he cooks, he has his own place. He was ready for to help Lily, whether she wanted to or not. Well, actually, no. He only helped her when she like consented, which I is always it's nice. It's nice to see someone who like is nice and soft like that. And I think you told me that I haven't read it yet because I'm still waiting for the library on hold. But it starts with us. You said that Atlas's story kind of delves more into depth, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I haven't even read it either.
Oh, okay. Well, that's another episode then. That's
I'm waiting
another.
for it at the library.
I'm waiting for the library right now because it's a very popular book. Like, and I wasn't even supposed to get it ends with us twice. I was like, oh, okay, it starts. I told the librarian, put it starts with us. And I'm not hating on the librarians because I know their work, but I was just like, she ended up getting me it ends with us. So that's the only reason I'm starting to know this book more in depth. Because I'm like, I'm on hold again, waiting for it. But yeah, I will definitely have to read that one. All right. So it's time for that heavy topic that we were talking about. A lot of this book has a lot of things to do with the toxic cycles and generational trauma that we see in Lily Bloom, resulting from her father being abusive to her mother, to her herself getting into an abusive relationship unintentionally. What did you I guess what did you think of it is like the main thing like for us.
Well, I'm gonna start it off with one of the quotes that I had liked.
Mm-hmm.
So it has to do with that. But it was like cycles exist because they are excruciating to break. And I feel like that's very true. I mean, her mom went through the same thing, and she was getting mad at her mom because she never seeked for help, and then the next thing you know, it's happening to Lily. And I think it's important that you break those cycles, especially if they are that bad, and don't keep going with them because a lot of people, they're just so used to it that they're just scared to break it because that's just what they know.
Hmm.
And yeah, I mean, I'm glad in the end that she did break that cycle.
Yeah, I would say it's very true to what I've seen and what I've like I personally have had like experience with this sort of thing. So it's like I've seen it and I've also like had the toll of what Lily goes through with that. Like nothing is ever like simple or like easy as like I don't know. I feel like families are very complicated, and especially like in the Latinx community, especially like I feel like a lot of people like still are like, especially back then, because we grew up like in the early 2000s. So I feel like divorce wasn't really like an issue until it became something like more women became aware of.
Yeah.
So, and I think we're at a point now in time where we're realizing it's time to like end those like toxic cycles, which instead of like putting up with it, you know?
Yeah, I definitely feel like in the past, women were, like scared to get divorced because then it's kind of frowned upon and it's just more like just suck it up. And, if he's doing it that way, it's because you're not being a good wife or blah, blah, blah. But I'm glad that, like, we're in this day and age that it's okay to get divorced. It's okay, to seek a counselor or whatever. And that we don't have to, like, still be in the past and we can just, do what makes us happy.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that she really Colleen really like showed how much love there was at first in the relationship, but also how like sudden like just like that it could just like change with like the wrong person. So it was just really eye-opening to see that, and just it's good to see that represented and shown how to like proceed forward with that.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so I know you talked a little bit about this in the beginning, but do you believe like the reviews that critics and book talk have pointed out, this was an amazing book. And I do think that this was like the first book people have picked out in a very long time because I'm like, I mean, I thought it was okay, but it wasn't like my favorite book, you know?
Yeah. I mean, like I said before, I think it's the first thing people pick, and because that is like the number one raved book from Colleen Hoover.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like social media like has like a big toll on like everyone, so they just believe what everyone's saying like about a specific book. They're like, oh well, it must be good. Like how I felt like, oh well, I have to like it because everyone else likes it. Until like I thought about it again, I'm like, wait, it wasn't even that good.
Yeah, I'm just like, if you take away the heavy topic, I feel like the heavy topics at hand, like, and replace it with something else, it would be a typical Lifetime movie kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just saying, I'm like, am I wrong though? Am I wrong?
Yeah, and like Colleen put like some more smut in there, like please.
Like, I wanted thigh grabbing, I wanted booty grabbing, I wanted everything, but I got none of it. I got none. I wanted hair pulling. So, you know. All right. And then last question. Would you recommend people to read this book? Why or why not?
I'm gonna say yes because I feel like everyone's kind of like entitled to their own opinion, and like don't just go based off of someone if they're like, oh, this is a really bad book, or oh, this is a really good book. Like, have your own opinion because like in the end, like what if you're like, oh, I really like this book, or if you're like, oh, it wasn't that great, like at least like, don't take the opinion of someone else like away from you, and just read it if you want.
Yeah, I would definitely say if you would like to read it and if you want to go for it, I would say go for it, read it. Um, I don't know if I could really like say, I don't know if I could really say I would recommend this book to anybody just because it wasn't my kind of tea. It was, but it wasn't at the same time. Like, I get it, but I also was like, I don't think I would ever read it again on my spare time, like it didn't leave me with that, oh my goodness, this book is completed, which it obviously isn't because there's a second book, but
Yeah, like I obviously wouldn't read it again. For sure not. But I mean, yeah, I feel like if I were in the position where I'm like, oh, I haven't read it yet, like I would give it a try and just, see if I like it or not.
Yeah, I would say so. Like, okay, if you have the time and if you like, I think that's probably one of the only things. It's a little slow to begin with. Like, if you have time, if you have patience, you're gonna get through the book. Because in the middle got really interesting, but in the beginning, it just took me like a while to get into it because I was like, I don't know. It's just like it was a very slow kind of built up, kind of.
Mhm.
Yeah, but all righty then. All right, Veronica, tell the audience what you have going on and where they could find you at if they ever want to find you.
Okay, so if you guys want to follow me, my Instagram is at Veronica K2244, and my YouTube is just my name, Veronica Carney. And my TikTok, where I do my true crime, is at Veronica K. That'll be Kaay.
Alrighty, and I would definitely recommend checking her out. Her YouTube channel is filled to the brim. Like I would get my eyebrow tutorials from Veronica because if you see her Instagram, she is iconic with the eyebrows. Iconic, I mean, with her overall beauty overall, because I have so many tales of how many free drinks we used to get, back
Oh
in the day.
gosh.
I have so many, like, she is a beauty. She is an Aries. She's got it all. She's a happily married woman, guys, though, you know.
Thank
But yeah, no problem. And I am Dimples. You could find my Instagram at dimpled hot mess. And then these will be posted on Spotify and YouTube. So please keep a lookout for the links down in the description below. Alrighty, once again, these are your favorite hot messes at work. And thank you so much for joining me today.